Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. And starting off, we have these couple legs up, which pushed us below the EMA, so we can expect a couple legs down here. Price moves in pairs of twos. That's how second entries form. That's just how price moves. And so we can look to get in on the second leg down here. Now, like I said, I started right here and we just kept pushing up. This overnight high, I didn't leave it at this exact level until after we pushed lower here. This swing was right around 820. And, at first I had it here, but we just kept pushing up to it. It was clearly, and this was still in the overnight session here, so I raised it to there. Now at this point, we have these two legs down here, but we're not off of any support. It's getting sideways. It's getting a bit choppy, which I should probably mention about, those who wanted to go short here. There's no shorts on the way down here because it was just choppy, and it's also right into this trend line. Even when we're closing below the EMA there, it was just choppy. You're right into a trend line. That's overall not ideal for a short. I would just want to see a clear, at this point, we're basically making this double top. I would just want to see a clear reversal pattern from there, holding below the EMA. But we don't get that. We just get a second leg down and then just push back above the EMA. Like I said, it was getting choppy here. It's not off of any support. It's all around not ideal. Now, we also did just push off of the overnight high. If we had gotten a two-legged move down where the second leg doesn't push off of the overnight high, then, that would actually be even more better for a long. But considering we just had a sharp push down off of the overnight high, which is a major key level, that adds bearishness to it because there's going to be bears that are saying, oh, we're going short. We just retested the overnight high. That means we're pushing down to the lows. So overall, it's not an ideal place to look for a long right here, but it does end up pushing higher here. And so we push on up, we break out of the overnight high, and then we immediately try to fade back in. Because when you break out of an overnight level or a range high or a range low, price tends to try to fade. Breakouts tend to fail, and so price pushes back down. It's just one leg. Now, in order to buy a breakout, you want to see two attempts to fade because, like I said, the market moves in pairs of twos. So if you get two attempts to fade, that's considered, and it still doesn't fade, that's considered a fade failure. And so after two attempts, then you want to look to get in on the breakout. But in this case here, we only have one attempt to fade. So even when we're pushing back above here, even if it had a perfect signal bar closing back above the overnight high here, you still wouldn't want to go long on that. But it does end up pushing up here. We make this double top before pushing down. We get this sharp leg down. Now, pushing back into the overnight high, which one sec, I do want to quickly show this. At first I had this channel moving up like this, and we did barely break it here. If you push down and break out of this uptrend, you can still form a good failed second entry. And, say you push down here and get those two legs back, forming the failed second entry, that would act as the two attempts at a new high for this uptrend. So you'd have this uptrend, a break, two attempts at a new high, and that would be setting up the failed second entry. And so that would be an ideal setup here, but it doesn't occur. It just breaks out a little bit, immediately pushes back in, goes back out of the overnight high, and after it does that, after it pushes up from this swing here, then I extend that trend line, and it still matched well with those highs there. And so we push up. Now, I don't like this higher low for obvious reasons. It's right into that overnight high level, not to mention right after a very strong push down. It's like first entry long, second entry long, except this second entry is obviously not nearly as big as this first entry, this first leg. So it's not even it's not good as a second entry, not to mention you just pushed off the overnight high. So, I understand we have these higher lows here and then you have a good signal bar, but it's just too risky. But it does end up working in this case. It pushes on higher here, it starts to get choppy around here, and then notice this here, remember what I was saying about how after you get a breakout, you want to see two attempts to fade. So we got these two bigger picture attempts. So starting from here, we have that first attempt, and then this is that second attempt. Now the second attempt obviously didn't reach the measured move. They're still big enough that you can tell they're connected to each other. And oftentimes I'd like to see another attempt at it, but considering we're off two key entry points, we're off this trend line right here, we're off the overnight high on the breakout pullback, two-legged retest, very strong reaction. I did like it just to ride to the highs right there. Now obviously you wouldn't want to push your target too far out of resistance like that. because, you know, it can easily fade like it did right after, but I don't mind pushing it a tick out or so. And so anyway, we push on up here. Great looking trade. If you got in on that, then that's great. But after we reach this resistance, we push out a bit, we fade back in, we get these couple legs down here. Now, a couple legs down, retesting the overnight high, you can look for a long, but you don't want to just enter right into the EMA here because, you know, the overnight high level is still a common reversal area. And so considering we just had a fade of this resistance right here, fades, you know, generally are pretty strong, it could continue fading all the way down into the overnight high. And so you would want a really good setup here. You don't just want to enter right into the EMA, especially after, you know, a very bearish push down like that. And so what I would like to see here is after these two legs down is a push back above, and we could get a, you know, if it's big picture, you know, we could get a big picture failed second entry pushing above this resistance and then possibly even retesting it. But we could also just get a smaller picture, higher low, or I don't mean like really small picture, I just mean smaller picture than what I just described, but we can get some smaller failed second entry with room to this resistance. Looks like this resistance might be raised a bit, which that's one thing that you got to understand, which is raising resistance and extending ranges, extending trends. That way you don't get scared of previous resistance levels that might be out of play. But anyway, so that's a possibility. But in this case here, we just continue on down. Now, if you do continue on down, you would want to see a clear reversal pattern. Now, from here, we can still get it. This uptrend has a break. So we have uptrend and then break, and we can get 2 attempts at a new high for that uptrend. So it would be like, which I'd like to see a little bigger. Let me just get this up here. So imagine we have this uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher. So this uptrend would be considered played out because it has 2 attempts at a new high. And if it doesn't make that new high and it just stays, you know, within this overnight high, then you could get the failure entry. So 2 attempts, doesn't make it, you can enter on the failure. And then of course that would also set up as a big picture failed second entry. So starting from here, you'd have first entry long, second entry long, failure, and then you can look to make the second big picture leg down to the overnight low. So, you know, this is a possibility. This is the most ideal looking trade that could happen, in my opinion, because perfect reversal pattern at a reversal area with the uptrend playing out right at the entry. I would really like to see something like that, but it is getting pretty slow, so you know, it might not happen. But yeah, I've been looking at the NQ. That's the NASDAQ futures, and so it has been pretty slow lately. So I think I'm going to, you know, be trading that at the same time next week. Tomorrow's a holiday. I was thinking in my head I'm going to start doing that tomorrow, which I've always, you know, I'll look at other markets every now and then while I'm trading, but you know, I'll get so focused in on the ES, but it has been pretty slow lately. So. But yeah, I was thinking about doing that tomorrow on Friday, but it is a holiday tomorrow, so no trading tomorrow. And yeah, so basically I'm going to start doing that next week more often, and I'm also going to be doing more posts on it most likely. I mean, if the ES speeds up again, then, you know, I'm not sure exactly how it'll go, but anyway, so that's probably going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. It's funny, I messed up that outro there. I started coughing, but I'm not going to deal with redoing it. Anyway, y'all have a good one.